Hello YouTube, my name is Arden Studios and welcome back to another YouTube video. Now guys, in today's YouTube video I'm going to be playing the Roblox game World Zero. This video is going to be about World Zero's Demon class. Now, if you guys don't know what World Zero is yet, it's a really fun RPG based game on Roblox. I highly recommend you try it and I've really gotten into it. And this game has a class called the Demon class. Now, it is easy to say that this is the hardest class to obtain in the game. It requires you to not only do daily missions to get some tickets, but open countless chests. And by the time you get it, you'll probably have opened at least 100 chests from the tower just trying to get this class. It takes a long time to get. So when you're focusing on using it, it's not always going to be the best as it seems. Now, you would expect this to be the most powerful class in the game, and though I can say it's pretty powerful, I definitely do feel like it has a lot of cons to it, and there is a reason that a lot of people have been saying it's a bad class. Now, I'm going to get over with the cons of this class first, and one basic one being it doesn't do that much damage. Now, this class is easily one of the worst classes when it comes to doing DPS in this game. Or at least that's what people say. Right now I'm going to take this from the biased standpoint of a player who does not like Demon class. It's not sent to be the best, but actually there is really good advantages to this class that I think people should definitely know before going into the class, so that you can understand why this is actually a really good class to use both DPS wise, and I'm going to explain exactly how the Demon class works so you can decide if you really want it. Now, first of all, I mained Berserker. I've always mained Berserker. As you guys can see here, I have 2 Blossom Fields. This is my Berserker loadout right now. I've always mained Berserker. It is my favorite class in the game, but Demon is really growing on me. And so from the standpoint of me, who's always used Berserker, I can tell you guys whether I do think that this is the best class, this is good damage class. And so using Berserker, I'm used to doing high amounts of damage. Like, most of my attacks can one-tap enemies. All of my gear at the time when I got the Demon class I had Opening Strike, which is a legendary perk, and I could do a lot of damage. Like, as you guys can see here, I did 1500 damage, and so on and so forth. I could do a lot of damage as Berserker, and I dodged really well with Berserker, so I saw no reason to use Demon. But I'm going to be explaining to you why Demon is actually incredibly useful, and I'm going to be breaking down why you should use this class. So, I'm going to start off right here. I don't know why I am using a Blood Scythe right now. I'm going to swap over to my Ignition. So, I'm going to be going over, first of all, the things you should focus on doing with Demon class. Number 1, as you guys can see, I have one little purple fire orb under me. This means that I'm in single target mode. Now, if you swap, you'll have 3 fire orbs under you in multi-target mode, and also, depending on what orb circles around you when you switch modes, depends on what mode you're switching to. One rule with Demon class I can easily say is never use multi-target mode. Efficiently speaking, multi-target mode is never going to be the best thing to use, as multi-target mode cuts your damage by 1/4. As you guys can see here, each Scythe throw spin does about 2,645 damage. So if we rounded that down, let's round that down to 2,600, and then let me find a charged werewolf here. I'm gonna switch over to multi-target mode, and as you guys can see, I just did 1,000 damage. So it's not super bad, if I'm being all serious. It's not the worst damage output in the world, but single target mode is just a mode. It's much easier to just focus on using single target mode, and it's really good. You can do a lot of damage. The second thing it's important to note out about Demon class that some people might not know is the Lifesteal ability does an initial large amount of damage. Here, you guys see I did 4,761 damage. A lot of people think it's just this drain, and that's not it. As well as that, Lifesteal will basically give you back HP based off the amount of DPS you do while this tether is connected to you. So I accidentally hit a crit there. So the werewolf got one tapped. I'll find a different one real quick. As you guys can see right here, my lifesteal is gonna be giving me currently 317 HP a second. Now, I'm gonna cut over to doing a solo tower raid, and I'm gonna actually go up to one of the bosses and show you this. And as you can see, we are in a solo tower dungeon right now, and I'm gonna go ahead and find a golem in order so that I can show you how lifesteal works. So, one thing that I definitely think a lot of people think when it comes to lifesteal is that it only gives you health with that ability. And so that's not the case here. So basically what I mean is, right now when I use Lifesteal, I'm only getting 317 health per second, which would be very low damage output. What actually happens is while you're tethered to that enemy, all damage you do is given back to you. So here, if I don't auto regen, I'm going to let this gargoyle get me a little low in HP, and now I'm going to show you guys exactly what I mean. So I'm going to activate Lifesteal, right? And as you guys can see, I'm getting about 300 something health a second. But now I'm going to use Scythe Throw and also use my normal attacks. Look how much HP I am getting while I'm tethered to that enemy. You notice a big difference, and by the time that your ability is over, all your other abilities will recharge, including the Lifesteal. So when you're using Demon, you cannot die. Unless you get hit by huge attacks, such as Ignis's attacks, you really can't die with Demon. Now, though this is something that would automatically make a lot of players excited to use this class, there are some downsides. You're probably thinking, especially if you're good with classes like Berserker you can dodge easily, it's not worth the low DPS this class brings in order to basically get healing. Now, I did a lot of tests. The DPS on Berserker, because of the time in between attacks, is not that much higher than the DPS on Demon. This class actually has a pretty high DPS. Now, I'll show you what I mean. I'm going to enable advanced settings here, and look what I mean. So, let me go ahead. I'm going to use Lifesteal, and then I'm going to use this. And you're going to see that my DPS gets pretty high. I'm in the 5,000s on DPS, and honestly, I can use attacks so fast. Right now, I've been knocked down. I can use attacks so fast. The DPS on Demon is kind of insane. The class itself is actually incredibly good with damage, which is something a lot of people don't know. There are a lot of cons I'm going to explain to this class now that aren't low DPS. The first one I will definitely explain is that when you first get this class, it is going to suck. You're going to be stuck with really bad weaponry, and honestly, this whole class is going to seem kind of terrible to use in general. So when you guys first get this class, you're not going to like it. That's the first thing I'm going to let you guys know now. The second thing I'd like you guys to know about this class is its special isn't that good. Now, this is something that is just a general thing. Though the special is highly rated by lots of players, and it is good, for the amount of time a special takes, it's not the greatest, but it does boost Demon's DPS up to 7 to 8,000, and in some cases can make it do more damage in Berserker, which is why I recommend using Alpha Butterfly when you're maining Demon. Now, because of the generally low damage stat you're gonna have, using an attack pet such as Fire Dragon won't be that significant of a boost. Also, using pets like White Sheep or healing pets aren't necessary because of Lifesteal, so I highly recommend you use a pet such as Alpha Butterfly. Not only in tower raids are you going to help everyone else's specials increase, but this will help you a lot if you're trying to solo or do dungeons as Demon in general, because it'll make fights go by a lot faster. And when I'm not using the Alpha Butterfly, I'm probably going to be able to use 1 to 2 specials every boss fight, but with it I can hit up to 3 or 4 specials, and it basically doubles the amount of specials you can do, and this pet is just really good. Now, getting the Alpha Butterfly might take some time, but I highly recommend you know what pet to combo with the Alpha Butterfly. As well as that, I'm also going to tell you guys right now, when you're using Demon, that it's really important that you abuse your Lifesteal. Now, if you're not constantly using your melee attack, you're not going to be doing nearly as much damage output with Demon. It does about the same melee damage as Berserker, but it does shoot a lot faster, so I highly recommend that you use its melee attack, and you just tank hits. If you're used to classes like Berserker or Paladin, you might be used to dodging more, but it is really important and really key that you become used to just tanking hits, and I will say still back away at times, otherwise you're gonna get destroyed. Now, another thing I will say with Demon class that's important to know is you're not invincible. Now, I kind of did hype up your regen at the beginning, but you're not invincible. People who get too easily deterred by the fact that, oh, Demon can basically survive anything, and then start to just spam use Demon, those are the people that are gonna die eventually. I've seen a lot of people die on the final boss in this game purely because of the fact that those people thought they could heal themselves up, but they can't. The Demon can regen really fast, but in this game, you have to remember the final boss is 15 levels ahead of the maximum level you can possibly be, so in most cases, it's really important that you know that you aren't invincible. You need to back away at times, and I would say don't let your HP get too low. on the topic of getting your HP too low, I would just also like to clarify right now that you can also use the barrier line. The alpha butterfly and the beta line, or the barrier line, are two great pets for demon. The reason why barrier is so useful is with demon, if you have barrier, you are invincible. You can tank every hit, heal yourself the minute the damage is a little too high. It's just so much easier. So if you do have barrier line, that's another world 4. I highly recommend another world 4 pet you should get is the barrier line. Both alpha butterfly is probably a lot better in teams. Same with barrier line, honestly. Alpha butterfly is probably better for soloing, but on the contrary, if you do want to tank a lot of hits, then maybe don't focus on using the alpha butterfly in most scenarios. So I will say that alpha butterfly is really good. Beta line's really good. And yeah, if you know how to use demon, you're not gonna have any problem with this class not doing enough damage. It just will do enough damage because the demon class is just really good. So to end off the video, I'm gonna be doing this boss fight and explain some things that I do every boss fight as demon that'll make it really useful as a class. So thing number 1, I always activate my special immediately, and then after that, I just immediately start spamming on the boss. I use my lifesteal, I use my scythe throws, and I'm just gonna keep attacking the boss over and over again. I put my butterfly up, and now my special is basically at half, and my butterfly is gonna have about 37 seconds of time needed to regen its ability after the ability is already ended. So though it does have a long cooldown of like 45 to 50 seconds, in the end it'll go more down to like the 35-second range. As you guys can see, I'm at full HP still, and I try my best to stay close to this boss. Get these extra thousands of damage in. In the long term, they are going to be really useful. Another thing that's important to note is always use your scythe throw, but most of the time you're going to want to use your lifesteal ability and then your scythe throw ability so that you can get all that extra damage in from your scythe throw. Now my butterfly is ready a second time. I've done about 2 bars to the Eye of Ignis currently, and as you guys can see, after I use it, boom, my special's ready again. So you're using the alpha butterfly easily gets your special ready, and it's going to be a really good choice to use in most battle situations for sure. So I'm going to just keep attacking this boss, keep spamming this boss, and I'm not going to speed it up purely because I do think it's important that you guys actually see the amount of damage you're doing. Now the special will constantly shoot blue orbs at the boss that does extra thousands of damage, and it will bring up all your damage stats by a little bit, so I would say constantly use it. Now, I'm doing this amount of damage using 1 maxed out ignition, so this is probably going to be the most damage you can do with demon at the time currently that I'm speaking. If you get lucky with your blood scythe, you can do the same amount of DPS simply using the blood scythe. It's really your choice. I'm going to use my butterfly one more time, and by estimate, this should probably bring me up to about 70% once the ability wears off. So, yep, I was actually right. And this will bring me up to 70%, and as you guys can see, I can just tank every hit. This is literally the most overpowered self-regen class in the game, and as long as you're constantly using your lifesteal ability and your scythe throw ability, it's really good. Another thing that I would definitely point out is that when you're using demon, make sure on all bosses you're never on multi-target mode. You're literally going to make this fight take to be 4 times longer. If I was using multi-target right now, this boss would probably not just have lost 1 bar of health. So my special will recharge one more time, and this last special should be all it takes for me to defeat the Eye of Ignis. So in this case, as you guys can see, boss battles do take a little bit longer than they probably would take with Berserker, but I definitely think that it's worth it. Also, make sure to always use your butterfly ability the minute it's ready. That is 100% a mistake I made a lot of the time using this butterfly pet. If you do that, you're going to be getting specials so much faster. And one last thing to take into account is using critical perks or any perk that increases your critical chance is overpowered on demon. As you guys can see, if you look closely at the numbers, I'm hitting 5,000s and 10,000s occasionally, and that's really high damage output for the demon class. So this class, though it may not seem like it, I think is the best class in the game. As long as you have good gear for it, you'll notice a substantial difference, but I definitely can say that when I first got this class, I thought it was terrible. So as you guys can see here, we're going to finish up the eye now. That's going to be it for today's YouTube video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, it was a really fun video to record. Sorry I haven't uploaded lately, guys. I've been appreciating any support I've been getting on the channel, and I hope you guys enjoy this video. Peace.